Western Pacific 2028. It all starts here. The sky above Guam lights up as dozens of Chinese DF-26 ballistic missiles come flying in. THAAD interceptors and nearby Aegis destroyers manage to shoot down a few, but too many break through. In seconds, Guam is a mess of cratered runways, burning fuel tanks, and destroyed bombers. At the very same moment, a Russian Yesen-class submarine in the Arctic fires a spread of Caliber cruise missiles towards Alaska. Fort Greely's defenses are built to stop long-range nuclear missiles, not low-flying cruise missiles. Radars light up, and fighter jets race into the sky, but the salvo comes in fast and unexpected. Some are shot down, others hit Elmdorf Air Force Base outside Anchorage. And then Iran joins in. Missiles target U.S. bases in the Gulf. Fast boats scatter mines in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital route for oil shipments. Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militia in Lebanon, fires rockets into northern Israel. The Houthis, another Iran-backed group in Yemen, send drones and anti-ship missiles into the Red Sea. This is a coordinated first strike led by China, Russia, and Iran. They're not trying to invade America itself. The goal is to hit so hard that Washington is too busy at home to stop them abroad. China goes for Taiwan, Russia for Baltic countries in Europe, and Iran tries to block oil in the Gulf. The rest of the BRICS bloc keeps its distance. Some rely too heavily on U.S. trade. Others keep close ties to Washington, and most just don't want to take the risk. And just to be clear, this is a sandbox scenario. And yes, nukes stay off the table, because if they didn't, we could end it right here. The missiles are only the beginning. Hackers, who had spent years placing malware through the largest covert spy effort in U.S. history, finally pull the trigger. Parts of the power grid shut down. At ports, container cranes freeze in place, leaving ships stuck offshore. In the Northeast, air traffic control systems run into problems. Within minutes, flights are halted across major hubs like JFK, Newark, and Boston. Hundreds of planes are grounded, tens of thousands of passengers stranded. In orbit, the first shots are fired. Russian and Chinese anti-satellite weapons blow apart U.S. imaging satellites. A few Chinese inspector satellites, long suspected of being weapons in disguise, crash into GPS relays. Suddenly, precision strikes get harder. Navigation starts running into problems. For the Pentagon, it's the nightmare start. Radar blind spots, slower targeting, and enemies hitting everywhere at once. Let's pause, because what happens next depends on what each side actually has to fight with. On paper, BRICS has the initiative. China brings the world's largest navy, a massive army, and a missile arsenal designed to keep the U.S. far from Asia. Russia, worn down by the war in Ukraine, still has thousands of tanks and artillery, and has a huge production capacity behind it. Iran adds regional reach with drones, missiles, and militia groups across the Middle East. But standing against them is the biggest economy in the world, the United States. It spends more on defense than China, Russia, and Iran combined. It has 11 aircraft carriers, the largest submarine fleet in the world, and a global logistics system none of its rivals can match. Its air power, F-22s, F-35s, B-1 Lancers, and B-2s remains the sharpest edge in modern warfare. Add in NATO allies with hundreds of fighters, tanks, and guided weapons, and the balance of power isn't as one-sided as the first strike makes it look. Quite the opposite, actually. Because the real question isn't just about who has the most ships, planes, or tanks. Can BRICS do enough damage in the opening hours to freeze America in place? Or can the U.S. withstand the strike, call in its allies, and swing the hammer back? NORAD, the U.S.-Canadian command that tracks the skies for enemy planes and missiles, sends fighters into the air within minutes. F-22s race over Alaska, guarding against more cruise missiles. Others patrol the Pacific, ready in case China pushes aircraft toward Guam. Across the country, bases shift into high alert. DEFCON, the U.S. military's alertness scale, rises a step. On Guam, Air Force engineers and Navy Seabees move into the blasted runways with quick repair gear. Within 2 days, they hope to patch enough runway to reopen it for transport planes. Out at sea, U.S. submarines already on patrol spread out, hunting for the Russian sub that fired on Alaska. In cyberspace, U.S. Cyber Command fires back. Chinese missile factories suddenly stall as their networks go down. Russian military supply lines run into trouble when trains are sent to the wrong places. In Iran, command networks cut out. Then come the stealth raids. B-2 stealth bombers fly toward enemy airspace. B-1 Lancers join them on strike runs. One wave pounds Chinese rocket forces bases that fired DF-26 missiles at Guam. Another wave hits Kaliningrad, taking out Russia's heavily defended S-400 missile systems. From the sea, Tomahawks fly. These are long-range U.S. cruise missiles that can strike targets hundreds of miles inland. Submarines launch them at Hainan Island's naval base in southern China, a hub for the PLA Navy. Others hit Iran's main port city, Bandar Abbas, home to its largest naval base. Hangars collapse, submarine shelters are smashed, and key military sites burn. American morale flips from shock to fury. The president appears on every screen. This is an attack on America. We will fight back, and we will finish this on our terms. NATO invokes Article 5, the rule that says an attack on one ally is an attack on all. For the first time since 9/11, the entire alliance is at war. Suddenly, Russia isn't just facing the US, it's facing Europe too. The skies over the continent fill with Typhoons, Rafales, and F-35s. From Norway to Romania, Patriot and SAM-PT batteries switch on. Convoys with NATO destroyer escorts start crossing the Atlantic. Moscow gambles. Russian tanks roll into the Baltics, aiming for the Suwalki Gap. Columns of T-90s push toward Riga. Belarus opens its territory, and heavy artillery hits Lithuanian towns. For a tense week, NATO's eastern border looks exposed. But NATO holds. Polish Abrams tanks and U.S. paratroopers dig in. German Leopards roll east. British brigades reinforce Estonia. Above them, NATO owns the skies. Russian tanks start burning on highways, picked off by precision strikes. Then comes the counterpunch. By the second month, NATO fields hundreds of thousands of troops. Operation Iron Avalanche begins. Polish, American, and German armor surge forward, liberating Lithuanian towns. RAF Typhoons smash Russian supply lines. By spring, Riga is free. Estonia's capital is secure. Russian units are in retreat. Belarus starts to weaken. Lukashenko's regime wobbles under NATO pressure and unrest at home. The Baltics are safe. Russia's gamble has failed. Meanwhile, the Pacific is still on fire. China pushes amphibious ships toward Taiwan. PLA troops fight to get a foothold on the beaches. Taipei looks at risk of being overrun. But U.S. and Japanese forces slam the door. In the Taiwan Strait, Virginia-class submarines sink Chinese landing ships. B-2 bombers cut through coastal defenses, blasting missile sites. Japanese F-35s fly with American Raptors, wearing down the PLA Air Force. The fight spills into the South China Sea. Marines capture reefs and take out missile batteries. U.S. carriers, though battered, push forward. By mid-year, China's Navy has lost dozens of ships. The survivors stay close to shore, sheltered under heavy air defenses. The blockade around China tightens. Oil imports dry up. Chinese factories slow, then stop. Shortages spread across the country. Most importantly, Taiwan holds. The invasion collapses as supply lines are cut apart. PLA troops trapped on the island surrender or are isolated. What Beijing hoped would be its great victory turns into a costly failure. In the Middle East, Iran's opening strike runs out of steam. U.S. carriers in the Arabian Sea launch daily raids. The port city of Bandar Abbas is left in ruins. IRGC speedboat bases along the coast are turned into smoking wrecks. Israeli intelligence helps pinpoint missile launch sites. Saudi patriots shoot down what's left of Iran's arsenal. By spring, the Strait of Hormuz is reopened under heavy escort. Mines are cleared, convoys move again, oil flows. The Iranian Navy is gone. Its air force is broken. Its proxies are still firing rockets, but they're cut off from supplies. Iran is neutralized within months. Egypt and Ethiopia issue threats and show off their forces, but they never actually join the conflict. With NATO fully engaged, both decide to stay out. Looking back, BRICS peaked in those opening hours. Guam was burning, a U.S. base was hit by Russian missiles, tanks pushed into the Baltics, and Hormuz was sealed shut. For a moment, it looked like the alliance had knocked America off balance. But the tide turned quickly. NATO counterattacks freed the Baltics. Taiwan held. Hormuz reopened. By month 3, BRICS was bleeding assets it couldn't replace. Its unity cracked. India pulled back and tried to stay in the middle. Brazil stayed out. South Africa stayed neutral. What could have been a united strike instead collapsed into countries fighting on their own. So, what does the world look like a year later? In the Pacific, American carriers are still at sea. Taiwan is still standing, and the South China Sea outposts are once again in Allied hands. China's navy has been hit so hard that its blockade can no longer hold. In Europe, NATO stands firm. Russia's advance has been turned back. Belarus is unsteady, and Ukraine is slowly retaking the ground it lost. Moscow's army is badly weakened, and its economy is falling apart. In the Gulf, Iran's threat has been broken. The oil lanes are open, the convoys are moving, and its proxy militias find themselves cut off and alone. By year's end, the BRICS coalition is in pieces. Only China and Russia remain in the fight, and both are exhausted. Sure, the US and NATO have taken losses, but they've won. Could BRICS have forced a draw? Maybe if the US had lost some carriers or if Russia had managed to seize the Baltics before NATO could properly respond, which is quite unlikely. But short of a miracle, their combined power was never enough to outlast the alliance lined up against them. But maybe the real question is what the world would look like the day after they lost. And if you thought that was intense, imagine every US state having to defend itself. Which one comes out on top? Watch the video on your screen now.